Right guys, welcome now to Finch Friday, your weekly golf Q&A. As always, there have been so many questions asked, so I'm going to go through that list, pick out 5, and then go through them. And the questions are about green fees being really expensive, predictions for the majors, FedEx Cup, Race to Dubai, how golf broadcasts can be livened up on TV a little bit, about retaking and replaying shots if you could, and then a few questions about driving ranges, which there's a couple. So first question on Instagram from jbreen545. Do you think Trump Turnberry green fees are too much? £325 a round. I think this leads into a larger question about golf being very, very expensive, because I played at Turnberry last year and it was just after I came back from being injured. It was just before the Euro Pro at Hawkston Park. And I went up there and I played terribly. It was awful. It was terrible. Worst I played. But it didn't matter because the weather was that beautiful and the course was fantastic. I hadn't played there before they redid it because they've remodeled a lot of the holes around the lighthouse and around the coast. And it's just amazing. They've done such a good job there. And on that day, I would have paid that much money to play. It really was that much of a special experience, despite the fact that I played terribly. And on this, there's a lot of golf courses out there that charge a lot of money to play. 325 quid is a lot. It's a lot for a round of golf, a 4-hour walk around a bit of grass. But it's the same as anything. They're only charging what they think people are prepared to pay for it. And when I went up there, it was full. It was absolutely full. There wasn't a single space on the tee. Groups were going after each other, one after one after one. I think with places like Turnberry, it's a very special place. You know, this isn't your normal Muni that you could get away with charging lots of money for. Because it's such a special experience, and because it's, for many people who go there, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, they're willing to save up and spend that money. So with Turnberry, with Muirfield, with Birkdale, I'm just going through the links open courses here. These all cost a lot of money to play in the height of summer. When you get into winter, you know, they do different deals, but it's still a lot of money. And certainly from an outsider, if you're new to golf, if you're just taking up the game and you don't have loads of money to spend, looking at that, you might just go, well, this really isn't for me. That is too much. The cost of this is too great. And I'll fire this question straight back to you guys. How much would you be willing to pay for a once-in-a-lifetime round of golf? For somewhere like Augusta. Augusta's always the one that springs out because unless you know a member, you're not getting on. How much would you be willing to pay to get on at Augusta? You know, I think I could cancel Netflix and not really eat for a month. I reckon I could do that. Question from Bailey Llewellyn. Predictions for the majors, FedEx Cup and Race to Dubai, etc. If you go off the last few weeks, you would say there should be some new major champions coming through in 2017. You can't really be looking past people like Justin Thomas. You certainly can't be looking past Hideki Matsuyama at the moment, who is absolutely on fire. And certainly Matsuyama, when you look at him, he's so focused and he's so calm when you watch him play. I've only seen him lose his temper a couple of times over a few years when I've seen him play. Fantastic putter when he gets going, brilliant ball striker when he's on it as well, and just plays such a little consistent fade out there. He's also another player who you look at and say, well, you wouldn't automatically coach some of the movements within his swing. He has that extended pause at the top of the golf swing, which for many people would disrupt timing, but it certainly is working for him. Outside of that, Garcia has just won in Dubai at a very, very strong fielded event. But, you know, Garcia has shown that he can win in years and not win a major. So I'm not holding out any hope as much as I would like to see him win. You've got the big hitters. You've got Stenson. You've got McIlroy. You've got Spieth, who looks like he's coming into a bit of form as well. You know, these players you can't rule out. And I would certainly put Stenson down for at least one major this year. So if we go in order, let's say McIlroy for the Masters. Just simply because he is going to win it one year, and I think if you keep gambling, it's bound to come eventually. So I'm going to say McIlroy for the Masters. I think for the US Open, I would be tempted to go for someone like Matsuyama, but also at the very same time, Dustin Johnson, you know, he's broken his major duck now. And I think for someone like him, who hits it so high, who hits it so long, and who puts incredibly well now, you know, the US Open has to be on the list. If we go then over to the Open, I'm going to say Stenson. I wonder what odds you can get off that repeat. Dustin Johnson winning the US Open and Stenson winning the Open. That might be a cheeky, sneaky bet. Obviously, there's a lot of time to pass between that, but those types of players, they're world class. The USPGA is, even tougher because it is the last one. Oh, I think it'd be silly to rule out Jason Day. He's the world #1 player, but he is having injury issues. A lot of the top players at this moment in time are having injury issues. So I'll go for those guys to win the majors, but really at this moment in time, if you look at the quality of golfers that are out there, you know what? There's so many who can win a major. There are so many who can win a major now. Not only the past champions, but people who are ready to step up. So your Matsuyamas, your Justin Thomases, these guys are ready and they are raring, and you would expect there at least to be one surprise throughout the year, even though they wouldn't be surprises. You know what I mean. As far as the FedEx Cup and the race to Dubai, at this moment in time, you would say Matsuyama for the FedEx Cup, just because he's on an absolute steamroll. He's top at the moment, and he started this year like an absolute train. And the race to Dubai really does favour people who do spend time on the European Tour. I would expect Danny Willett to come back and have a decent season. Will he be able to get up there and challenge again? Very close last year, of course. McIlroy, but I think, again, you've probably got to pick Stenson. He is, at this moment in time, I would say, the standout European player who does play in more European Tour events. So this question on Twitter from Malcolm A, at Coastal Mac, who's a very regular commenter. Thank you very much, Malcolm. He says, how would you suggest golf broadcasts are livened up? And then he puts down a few suggestions. I was tweeting about this the other day. I was watching the Waste Management Open from Scottsdale. It's a course that I've played before. It's an event that I've watched before. It's obviously got the famous 16th. But I came away from watching that on a Saturday night, and you know what? It was dull. It was boring. Now, this is one of the most exciting events on the year, not so much because of the golf which is played, which is always of a high standard, there's always a good score coming in, but it's got the biggest crowds, it's got the most atmosphere, and it just felt flat the way that it was broadcast. Now, I was watching on Sky Sports. Now, they didn't have control over the overall filming, that was CBS. And it's a weird thing when you're watching Sky, because it has the CBS commentators, then it cuts back to the studio where Nick Doherty and Simon Holmes were giving a little bit of a, I don't know what they were doing. You had the CBS commentators and you had the camera work over at that event, which left a lot to be desired. They were focusing on just a couple of groups, then coming over to the 16th, where I don't know if there's something wrong with the microphones, but it just really wasn't picking up that much of the atmosphere. And like I said, it just felt flat, and it was uninspired. If you think about an event like that, how much more could be done? There could be someone out with those fans. There could be a lot more interaction with the galleries there. You're always going to run the risk that someone has a little bit too much to drink and maybe loses control on camera. But there's such an opportunity to make that coverage so much more exciting. But it's just following the same format. It's 4 or 5 commentators, one out on the golf course. And it's just boring now. People need more if they're going to stay engaged with this game. Golf is a great game to play. Sometimes it can be difficult to watch, and really need to start thinking about different ways of showing this sport. Unless the event is, really exciting. I mean, you imagine the Open last year with Stenson and Mickelson when Sky had control over the coverage. That was the best tournament I remember watching in quite some time. But guys, let me know what you think. I think the most obvious one, and Friday's Golf did a video on this, is shot tracer. Shot tracer on every tee. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. People have seen it now. They know what to expect. Just make it happen. Question here from Twitter again. Rob Jones, 1875. If you could replay any shot from your golfing career, which one and why? And I think I'd like to expand this question out to you guys as well, because there is always that one that stands out in the mind. Oh, that one that just went a little bit wrong. So for me, it has to be last year on the 15th hole at St Anne's Old Links, when I hit a shot just a little bit heavy, not really much at all, but it totally messed my hand up. Made me miss out on Open qualifying and 3 months of the year. That was definitely my one shot that I would just love to replay. I would love to go back to and change, but obviously I can't. And it is the one thing that I always believe in. A little bit of a life lesson here. You should never look back, because although you can learn from the past, you can learn from your mistakes, you can't dwell on it, because you can't go back, you can't do anything about it. What's done is done. Look forward. Don't think about the shots that you want to replay, think about the shots that you want to play in the future. I don't know what that voice was then. That was my attempt to be inspiring voice. Question here from Jeff Aris on Facebook, and this is generally about driving ranges and what targets should be out there. I think if you look at driving ranges and you look at the amount which are actually closing down now, there's quite a few going at an alarming rate, and I think part of that is maybe people have more time constraints, maybe people aren't practicing as much as they used to, although the driving range that we are at now, Prairie Sports Village, where the Quest Academy is located, that's a new range, only a couple of years old, and it is getting busier and busier and busier, and it's a fantastic facility. As far as targets on the driving range go, Jeff's talking about a car which is on the driving range. And where I used to work at Trafford Golf Centre, they've got a caravan out there at the moment, they've got goalposts out there at the moment. It does just increase people's interest in hitting to target. Because far too many times you see people at a driving range and they're just hitting balls, they're working on technique, which is great, but they're not orientated to any target. They seem to become a little bit detached from the point of golf, which is to hit a target. Admittedly, not generally a car or a caravan, but having something fun to aim at, which makes a noise when you hit it, it does make a difference. People then start to associate the changes that they're making within their swing, what they're practicing, to targets. And guys, comment below, what is your favourite target that you've seen at a driving range? What would you like to see introduced to more driving ranges? I'd just like to see a massive double-decker bus out there. How good would that be? So guys, thank you so much for watching again. I love these Q&As. I love interacting with you guys directly. Thank you so much for the questions that you've asked as well. Obviously, I can't get through them all, but keep your eyes out for the questions which are posted. Today was on Monday. I'm filming this early because I've got stuff I've got to get done at the end of this week. So please stay tuned, get my words out, stay focused. What am I saying? Watch out when I ask for questions, because get them in early. Something like that. Subscribe to the channel as always. Like the video, share it around, comment below. And we'll see you down here next time.